060 and know your rates. Roger that. Rolling right. 060.
Don't often do this, but when I do.
And then if you could give your oxygen.
Let's wait for it to. Okay, not using the microphones at the front, not using the microphone in the middle. Microphone is placed at the back of the room because I'm experimenting. Placed up there, so it's at the back. So kind of like look at the frequency response coming off from the HF horns, and then sort of like retune them, you know. That's just picking up my voice there on the screen up there. Ooh la. So I'll just, you know, play the pink noise and then just sort of like, you know, go through the tuning, you know, listening to the frequency range through the horn. Crossover presently it's set at 303 Hertz, Lynx Riley, 24 dB down, so you know it won't get obliterated with any low frequency that passing. Actually, you can tune these HF horns down kind of reasonably low. They do sort of pick up you know, a low frequency down, but it's so far down, and you know you ain't gonna notice it too much. Just the what's it? So just turn the fader down a bit. Turn the pink noise on. So that's looking at it 1/3 octave. Gets very complicated really, because if I needed to go in and look at all the individual frequencies just within those 1/3 octave, and then you can change the resolution to 1/6, 1/12, 1/24, then you start seeing which frequency is kind of pushing up, and thus making the sound maybe say a bit too harsh, because there's always a frequency or frequencies that are pushing up a little bit higher than the others, and it's getting those evenish. And then the film mix itself, of course, you know, it might be mixed with a bit more top end, it might be mixed smoothly, it might be mixed with a little bit less top end, and yeah, it depends. And then you might want to then have what's called a secondary EQ, or secondary, you know, just to make minor changes. So I'm trying to experiment and just keep the PEQ reserved or flat or zeroed on the DCX, and then just use the FBQ to EQ the HF horns. That's left and right, that's left center, right center, and that's center down there. I was thinking only, I think a few nights ago, and thinking, you know, looking at the situation and thinking, maybe try and find a bit more rack space so I could put another one of these in the rack, and then looping channel A into channel B, and then that maximizes to not 20 PEQ but 40 PEQ. And then I looked at, you know, what frequency smoothing I was looking at, and then doing the math, and then thinking, you know, if I wanted to do it's a bit extreme, I think. There's hundreds, literally hundreds of tiny little frequency bands, because you go through the sine wave and go through it step at a time. Oh god, do the math. That's why it's 20,000. I haven't got I haven't got that sort of, you know. So you have to compromise and such. It's taking it a bit too literal, I think. But that is what it is in the science. And air particles are very tiny. But I think the molecules are just a lot more. Anyway, I won't want to get into that. So this is just what I'm doing for the moment. It seems to be working out so far. I have to test on a few other films and then see how they sound. Because if I were to put on headphones and then check and then take the headphones off, there's a few things that I could do, with the system. If I wanted to do headphone monitoring, and if I wanted to say check a specific frequency range on the headphone monitoring, I could monitor LFE. Well, that's just filtered frequency response, just like turning down the crossover with a 24 dB or 48, and just filtering everything, and all the pink noise out into it. It just sounds like a rumble sort of, or whatever, or I can just tune it all the other way and monitor it on the headphones. But I haven't exactly done that yet, but it is possible to do. I can monitor how the actual tone, but that would be just on headphones, I'll just be checking just to see if there's any missing, like, little detail that might have gone underneath my radar, something that I've overlooked, because there are sound effects and mixing and such. Sometimes you just get a very narrow range of sound effects, or it might be Foley effects, whatever, and it's only in a coverage in a narrow range. But when you've got the competition of music and sound effects and dialogue all playing at once, it's very hard to, it's really critical listening and noticing all the little details in the mix and such, and then the stereo spread, and oh boy. And that's what my cat Bear thinks about it. That's his sentiment.